What's going on, everybody? It is TripleCrown24 back. Third time's the charm on this one. I've gotten a couple of calls, my first two attempts to record this. But it's time for a new COMC recap since it is the start of the month once again. I'm recording this on the first day of December, final month of the year. I don't know when this will go live, but it's time to recap how November went on COMC, and not too much has changed, which is a bit surprising because November is usually a pretty popular time for COMC, given that most sales are typically run during this month for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. They also have a spring cleaning event. I forget what month that takes place. I think it's in March or April. But for the most part, there's several sales that go on this month. There is a pre-Black Friday sale, a Black Friday sale, and a Cyber Monday sale. And I'll kind of talk about my experiences with those. This is my first time engaging with them at all as both a buyer and a seller. So I am excited to kind of get into that and tell you a bit more about it. You'll see overall my store credit, if you remember from last month, hasn't changed all that much in terms of my end result. My starting balance and my ending balance hasn't changed too much, but I was able to add more cards, and I increased the value of my portfolio by about 25% in terms of my asking price. This isn't sold price. That could vary, especially if any of these cards had to be lowered in price or I ran a sale or someone made an offer. But my overall asking price on things increased by about 25% in the month of November, which is not too bad, especially considering I spent less time on the site this month. And also, you'll see down here my processing status, not too much going on here, unfortunately. Still nothing on these two submissions I sent in back in September. We're about, 10 weeks in on these, and they're not due till January. I'm kind of at this point expecting that I won't see anything happen on them till January. Maybe I'll be surprised in the next month. You guys watch the update video, you'll notice that I actually had some of my own cards put up here. This one that I sent off in November, I'm very excited for because there is a lot of good stuff that I had picked out of dollar boxes and different value boxes around, and then also some of my own inventory previously from my eBay store. Can't wait for these to get loaded up, but I'm going to have to wait a while, especially considering these haven't made any progress yet. And then I've got about another 500 cards going out. So really, if you think about it, I have 470 cards in my port right now. I have 5 times that essentially going in to COMC right now. In fact, it's at their facility, just waiting for it to be uploaded. But we'll, for right now, I'm still sustaining myself with just being able to flip things on the site to get to where I need to be. Let's talk about the sales, and then we'll talk about the purchases. So for the month of November, you'll see that the number of cards I sold was down and the total sales was down again. And small sample size, there's of course some different variables that can be factored into this as well, but I feel that there is a correlation between the amount of time that I have spent on the site and what these numbers have looked like, because I was extremely active in September when I first started out trying to get it off the ground, and been a little less active as I've been busier these last 2 months, and you can see the numbers really reflect that. Ultimately, my goal as COMC is to have it be a passive form of income. Most of my flipping will be done at show floors or going through different boxes or buying up collections and then sending the stuff into COMC. That's how I kind of see it. I still want to do the flipping on the site as well. But really my goal of coming back to it was to be able to send that kind of stuff there, the stuff that I was selling in my eBay store. But I feel at this point in time, it is more profitable for me, and also a huge time saver just to send it here. So that is kind of what I'm looking at the moment in terms of COMC, where I want it to be at some point. But of course, until any of my cards get uploaded on the site and I have a steady influx of inventory being added to my port that I've submitted myself at pretty much a daily basis, this is kind of how it's going to look probably going forward. But my goal in December is to spend a bit more time actively on the site, trying to do what was working in September, get these numbers back up a bit. But overall, my number of cards might have been down, but my average sale price was up. You'll see here $4 a card in October, and about 480 in November. So 20% difference. Let's take a look at specifically what was selling. I have learned how to do this now. Aha, there we go. I can show you which were the top sellers for the month in terms of how much COMC credit I got out of them, not necessarily my biggest profit margins in terms of the actual amount or the percentages, but these were the largest cards that I sold. So number one here was this Luka PSA 10. I bought it $40. It seemed like a decent value. I didn't think that I was going to be able to double up, which is typically what I'm looking to do when I buy a card on the site, but I thought that there was enough there to justify buying it, and ended up making $16.28 on it, which is pretty solid. I bet if I would have tried to sell this card on eBay, that's probably what I had gotten as well. And it was, if there's any shipping that's involved with it or whatever the case may be, that is going to be handled directly by COMC and not me. So that is a perk of that. Here's another one here, Steve Carlton autograph. I just thought this one was cheap, but for being a National Treasures auto, I get it, lack of logos. It's the same song and dance that's been said about Panini for years now. But NT is still one of those brands that I just, when it comes to baseball, I'll take a flyer on it. That's, I guess, the phrase I like to use on here. Same thing with Flawless, as you'll see below. But $28 up to $34.20 in about a little over 2 months. I mean, is it crazy good? No, but it's solid. I would rather be up on it than to take a loss. So there you have it. A few cards from that first port that I ended up purchasing. I bought another one in November. I think it was on the 10th. So I'm averaging 1 port buyout per month right now. And I said it in the last month recap video that I was about close to breaking even, I thought. And without a doubt, these few that sold in November pushed me over the top. This Mize Pearson dual autograph here, up a little over $7, in fact, $7.05 here through eBay. All 3 of these were sold through eBay. Megatron here, basically doubled up on that one. And then Kenny Galladay, who this was probably the toughest sale among the larger advertised cards in that first port. He has fallen off the face of the earth since he left the Lions to go to the Giants, but hey, it ended up moving here towards the start of the month. So I was definitely very happy to move that one out. A lot of stuff that I had purchased that I thought would have moved relatively quickly finally moved, and it just shows that sometimes you got to be patient with this. This Kobe card here was one of those examples. I bought it for 11. I thought when I put it up for $20, it was going to sell within a couple of days, and it ended up taking, again, a little over 2 months, and it sold when I put it on sale for the Black Friday sale. And it was actually the first card that sold for my Black Friday promotion. Hey, it just, sometimes you just need a little patience. Same thing here with this Jeter, about 2.5 months to sell this one. Only made $268 on it, but it's better than losing $268 on it. So if you go down here, you'll see that there is, we'll talk about these here when I go over the purchases, but you'll see here that there's a lot of stuff that is in that $2 to $5 range that gets bumped up into the $7, $8, $10 range. And that's really where I feel most comfortable. I'm good at identifying cards that could probably move up. And I think the reason why I'm able to do well with that is just because that was what I was doing on eBay for several years, was going into value boxes, identifying cards that seemed undervalued and figuring out what price point they would sell at, seeing the results, and then kind of figuring out from there what I needed to go after. And there's no exact science to it. Not every single time is it a winner, but you know, these little transactions here, just doubling up my money when I can, it's better than losing money. There's an old adage that you'll never go out of business turning a profit, and I'm a firm believer of that. So let's keep it rolling here. Taking a look again, just really all over the place. A lot of these like low numbered parallels and stuff that would be in value boxes or dollar boxes that shows nothing too out of the ordinary. So yeah, that was a little recap there of the top sellers. One thing I want to point out with the sales is that the sales helped me a lot. And you'll see here for Cyber Monday, I was able to sell 7 cards. I ran a 30% off promotion for Cyber Monday, It was 25% off for Black Friday and then 20% off for the pre-Black Friday. So just kind of scaled it up a little bit each time as the weeks progressed, giving people a little bit better deals going forward. I sold 7 cards here, which you might think, big deal. It's only 7 cards. But again, my inventory, I have a little under 400 unique cards in there. If you look at my total cards, it's around 450. So I'm selling through close to 1.5 to 2% of my inventory in that single day there, which was a lot better than what I was doing on eBay. So it's all kind of about scale for me. I'm very curious to see what this will look like next year when I'm able to have a full year kind of to build on what I'm doing here and add in my own cards as well. But you'll notice when the promotions were going on, things were super hot. And when they were not going on, it was radio silence. Here's a huge gap here. This is the longest gap I have gone since my return without a sale. Essentially 3 days right until the start of my promo. And what I would guess is that there were a lot of people where, why would you buy on COMC during the times that there wasn't a promo going on? Because chances are the cards you're looking at, a lot of sellers would have them on sale a few days later. So unless it was something that you feared missing out on, it would just make sense to kind of wait on it. So that's kind of one of the downsides to it. And I'm still kind of feeling that now that those sales have ended. Like, for example, I haven't made a sale yet. Today, the only sales I made yesterday were these 2 Charizard cards, but I imagine a lot of people probably went hard during the sale. And then as time goes on here, we'll kind of pick back up again, but still kind of dealing with the aftermath of that sale. I guess there are a lot of people spent a lot during that promotion, and now they got to recoup their own store credit or add more at a later time. So let's go over to the purchases now. These I can only do by year. We'll go to 2022, and I will show you here the best cards that I have purchased. This is for the entire year here, but there's 3 that cracked my top 10 in terms of how much I spent on them, including number 1. And I'll probably use this as the title and the thumbnail of the video. But I bought a wrestling card, believe it or not, as my number 1 purchase since my return to COMC, and it is this Charlotte Flair ringside gold from the first ever Select Wrestling release. So why did I go for this? Well, I was tipped off on this one by my friend Eric, Those Back Pages, and he showed it to me. He didn't want to add the credit to his COMC account, and if you try to buy something from COMC on eBay, they mark it up to cover the fees, essentially, so that the net price that COMC gets on eBay is what my asking price would be on COMC itself. And that way they don't have to deal with all the extra fees and all that. It's very linear. So I imagine there's some kind of formula that they use or whatever. But when I saw this on there, I thought, this is a fairly good price. This was less than the hobby box at the time of this stuff. I think the hobby boxes have probably dipped to about $100 now, if I'm not mistaken, but it's already graded. Say what you will about Beckett. It's a recognizable name. And I haven't really done too well selling like combat sports stuff like wrestling or UFC or any of that, or boxing on the site so far. The few cards of those areas of the site that I've purchased haven't really moved right now, or the ones that I got from port sales haven't really moved, but it's still early. They just might not be quick movers like some of the big names in football are right now, since it's football season. So I figured it was one that it made sense to take a chance on. And again, it's one of those that I don't mind having shipped back to me. I feel that I could very easily move it in my neck of the woods, since I've had a very easy time moving other cards similar to this one in my area. Here's the one that I've probably been the most reluctant on of all the cards I've purchased in this top 10. It is this Anthony Rendon. Essentially, it's an RPA. It's a rookie auto with a relic here. I'm sure some people would call it an RPA. It's from Bowman Inceptions. I guess technically it's a prospect card, but it is from his rookie season, 2013. It's numbered 5 of 5. It was $50. Now, Rendon has a huge uphill battle. He's not with the Nationals anymore. He did win a World Series with them. That helps. But he left in free agency for the Angels and really has not done much. He is at best the third best player on that team behind Trout and Ohtani. And naturally, if you're an Angels fan, I would guess you're going to collect one of those two guys or maybe one of the up-and-coming prospects in the system rather than Rendon. So makes him a bit of a tough sale, but I figured I would take a chance. 5 of 5, essentially what is an RPA of a guy who is has proven himself in the past. I mean, I figured it was worth a shot. I don't think I will lose tremendously on this one, but I don't mind holding it. Maybe it'll just get super hot the first 2 weeks of the season and I can sell it then, but that might be wishful thinking. We'll see. But yeah. Let's move on to a guy who actually is performing pretty well. Yordan Alvarez, 2020 Topps Chrome Black. I have to give a shout out to my other friend, Eric, who he's a big Yordan fan, and I thought of him when I bought this card here. I mean, these boxes I think are still around $200 a box. Maybe they've dipped to like $150, but I got this for a fraction of that. It's already graded. A 9 on these cards is actually fairly good. They're deceptively tough with the black borders. It leads to issues of chipping on the corners and the edges, but the surface on them as well is actually not great. There's a lot of them that I find that have surface issues. Sometimes they are not easily picked up on as well. So not an easy set to gem. I will gladly take a 9. I feel like if I bought one of these raw, the odds would heavily be against me to get a 9 if I were to send it in on my own, but I just thought that this one seemed pretty undervalued, so I scooped that one up at the start of the Black Friday sale. I think it was listed on sale by this seller right here. So thank you to him for putting that up, or them, I should say. So those were kind of the top 3 purchases there. Outside of that, I'll just kind of show you some of the other ones I bought. These are mostly available in my port here, but really just kind of goes in line with a lot of the other stuff I've been buying, and you can take from that what you will, but there you see it. I do want to point out this one here. This one was also at the start of Black Friday. This guy listed about 11 of these Alec Boehm PSA 10 Blake Jameson cards, and as Boehm lived up to his potential hobby-wise, I would say no. There were a lot of people that were super high on him coming out of 2018 Bowman draft, and his hobby has taken a huge hit. It seems like if you do not produce at a high level constantly, that you are going to fall off. That's really nothing new, but man, it is almost shocking because he hasn't really been all that bad. And I'm sure the Philly fans out there who watch this will attest to it. But definitely, I think with the Phillies right now, that if you're a Phillies collector, you're probably more focused on someone like Harper rather than Boehm, or Boehm, I should say. And I think that's led to a lot of people overlooking him when he's still a pretty solid player. So I ended up buying 10 of these. I mean, they were $3.90 a piece. And I mean, it would cost me $15 minimum just to send this in. That doesn't include shipping or anything else that would go with it, much less the cost of the card. So I figured, why not? I put these all up in my port for $9 each, plus the $1 shipping fee that they have on it. So it'd be $10 if you were looking to buy it and you're not in reseller mode. And I figured, $10 of a rookie, of a guy like this, why not? It's slabbed up. It's PSA 10. People love their PSA 10s. So that was probably one of my better purchases of the month. We'll see how the Charlotte or the Yordan or the Rendon all fare, but these are the types of deals that I think probably get me the most excited out of everything. So that was it. That was my recap. A little bit more to talk about with all of the promotions that were going on this month. I imagine December will probably be a bit more calm. We'll see. But yeah, that's it for me. Thank you so much for listening. Take care. Stay safe. Be kind.